G'day, it's Jeff from Hardwood Mills. I'm just going to introduce the new GT26 Deluxe. It's the deep cut machine engineered in Australia for Australian hardwoods. So you might notice I've just put a bit of tape across here like so. What this tape represents, it represents basically where our opposition's machines end. That's where they end. Around 7 inches above the blade, so through here like this. And that's it. Now they may have a big guard that makes them look cut deeper, but they simply don't cut anywhere near the depth of this machine. So that is where you're limited. And sometimes it's hard to see that when, you know, around the guards and all of that. So we have 18 inches of cut from here to here, massive. Nothing on the Australian market like them. All of our machines are engineered like this. We have, all our machines come standard with a 14 horsepower electric start Kohler. We have 6 meters of track. As you can see, this is a trailerized model, but our standard machine is 6 meters. So, you know, we find selling a machine with a 4 meter, only cutting, you know, a 4 meter track, which means it can only cut about 3.2 meters, is really not great. It means you've got to buy the track and add on, and it's not the best situation. You want to be able to use the mill, and that's the idea of these. That you can get them and start milling immediately. So I'll talk about the head first. So the innovation. So again, I'll just show you that. That's just where our opposition's machines end, and this is where we start. So magnificent depth of cut. The other thing, so we're just going to open up here. The simplicity of these machines is incredible. There is really not much to them. So we have a blade basically like your benchtop bandsaw, just running around like this. A lot of people's eyes are drawn to this loose rubber, and they think, oh, you know, this is, you know, that it just doesn't look right. And the main reason we do that is for 2 reasons. It's easy to change the belt, so you don't have to use, you know, special tools and things like that. The other reason we do this is that when we started, we put exact belts on, really precise belts, take a while to fit, and we found that they work really well, but then eucalyptus hardwood would get in, penetrate in behind the belt eventually, and it'd be like hitting speed bumps. So by having a loose belt like this, we allow the material, the sawdust, mainly resin, to escape. And we've done that on both sides. So the main difference on this side, I'll just go in. Cut this bit out. Okay, so this is where the main difference on the machine is, different to all other machines. So like that side, we have a belt, but we have a second pulley in the rear. And by doing that, it means we can put the engine here, anywhere we like, which allows for this massive opening. We have the idler through here. So most machines, as I said, this is where they end, through here, which is not a lot of space to cut with. If you've got knots, you've got to really get in with a chainsaw and use them. We built machines like that, and they were all right machines, but people wanted this new design. They wanted these new features on this machine, so this is what we've done. So a lot of machines will have a similar big opening like this, a pulley at the back, but then they have a big diagonal, so the belt will go up at an angle like this, like a teardrop through here. It's and the problem with that is really you're not getting any depth of cut, because you've got some depth over here, which is really useless, to be honest. I mean, you want what they call a square mouth cut, which is this area here. So we put this idler in. And the other one was that we used to run conventional combination drive systems, which was the drive belt ran here around, so we only had a 1 belted pulley, ran round the front here, and then that limited the height that we could do. So we needed a lot more horsepower to drive it, because the blade was acting like a handbrake. So even though this is a 14 horsepower, it's generally, or not generally, it is a lot more powerful than our opposition machines, because it simply isn't under the load or drag that those machines are under. Now these are our interlocking switches. So again, these are the only machines that comply to Australian standards. So you've got switches inside like that. And if the doors fly open or you leave the doors open, you're trying to run the machine, it won't start, and that's what those switches do. I'm just going to talk about like the superstructure. So a lot of machines, they'll just have like a column up like this. We've actually completely, it's all fully welded and reinforced through here. It is a really, really tough mill. It's the toughest mill I know on the Australian marketplace. Again, the engines on them are 14 horsepower electric start Kohlers. We brought the controls down, so we had the controls right up here, like so. We brought the controls down via a chain, so they've been lowered like so, like this. And we've put what we call a rapid lock system. So you wind, bang, locked. The machine's done, it's locked. Again, more safety standards, so emergency stop. You can't have these machines on sites unless you have all these emergency stops, Australian standards, which we have. Everything is completely centralised. So you have throttle, height adjust, emergency stop, your water on and off right there, you know, so it's right there, tracking adjustment there, blade tensioner there, and you have your slide guide system here. So you don't go around and lock the mill off like on the old mills we used to do. It's all done centrally. Everything, water bottle, everything. The other thing we did was, most mills will have a water bottle on the top of the mill as high as you can get them, and when they're on trailers, it's very, very difficult to get at that watering system. It's dangerous if you've got to climb up on the machine. We just have it there, you lower it, any height, get the water in there, gravity does the rest. So that's basically it. So that's the head. In my view, these are absolutely designed and built for all Australian conditions. We've got guys doing Gidgee, ironbark, red box, which I generally find red box is a lot harder than ironbark. All those really, really hard Australian timbers are being done on this. And you're going to see footage of us cutting some really hard timber that we've recovered out of a creek. And we tried to get the hardest bit of timber we could, just to show that these indeed will cut Australian hardwood. So we're going to talk about the trailer. We're the only company that has fully road registerable trailers, ADR. They come VINed. So when you get them, you're not doing this, you know, backyard stuff of trying to do an owner builder on a trailer and stuff like this. These are VINed. You can just register them. They're fully legal on all Australian states. Fully made in Australia. They are also braked, so they have a mechanical override system on them. We can do electric brakes for these machines. There's no additional cost. It's just done on a request by a basis. So we're just going to show you these are incredibly heavily engineered, 6mm steel, and you can see we do it all. You've got your handbrake, mechanical override brakes, even our safety chains, fully stamped to Australian standard, which is an absolute Australian standard to the code. And you can see the VIN plates on the front. So you're not going to get these things and not go, what do? I can't register them. They can't be registered and they won't pass them. These are VINed, so they will be allowed on Australian roads. We have a removable tow board system at the rear, and that. Now I'll just talk about the track. Okay, this is the track system on this machine. So you can see that a lot of people, they put a cam lock on these machines. So you go snap, and the issue I've had with those in the past, and they're all right, good for pine and that, because I'll bite deep into the pine. But when you're dealing with hardwood, they seem to just bounce off the surface, and that's my experience. So we've kept the winding system on them because it's guaranteed to bite into Australian hardwood. And again, I mean, the cam lock system, great. Softwood's excellent. Hardwood's not so good because it just bounces off the outside of the system. So you get a cam locking system with two of those. Sorry, start again. You get a screw lock system, 2 of those per mill. So you can locate them virtually anywhere you like. Some people do really long timbers, some people do short, so you can position them. Another part we have with the trailer is we have the optional log loading ramps. Now they're not just purely a log loading ramp. You can roll logs around, and you can see comes with a 2-speed boat winch, but we upgrade the cable a little bit, so it's quite heavily engineered. The outriggers are made of PFC, so to take, our logs are very, very, very heavy. Most of the machines I see on the internet, the Australian hardwood would break them in half. I mean, these things are incredibly tough. Now, another great, as I said, talking about the depth of cut, you can see, we'll just come around the rear here, you can see okay, you ready? So what I like about this big opening is when you're doing trees, quite often with the conventional design machines, again with just this very limited space across here, you use the chainsaw, you're trimming, you're cutting edges off, you're whittling the thing down to get it in, and once it's in the machine, you're right. But a big advantage of this is you're not doing that with this machine, so you can really cut into it, get rid of all those knots, get rid of all that stuff you don't want to cut with a chainsaw. The other issue is if you've got to do 8x8s, 10x10s, you can see it's very obvious you can cut really deep. With this machine, you can cut, you know, right down into the boards, and then you're pulling off 8x8s, 10x10s, even 12x12s, even bigger if you like. And that's just a massive advantage. The other thing is that you're not doing all the handling with these machines, which saves a lot of time. So if you're cutting a board or cutting two boards, pulling them off the side, stacking them off to the rear, with these new machines, you can drop the cut from the top to the bottom, whip them up on their edge, and then go again. And that's a huge advantage, and it saves you a lot of time, a lot of money. And we are working on auto feeds as well for these systems and auto up and downs. So that will really save time, and they're really just around the corner. So that's something that we'll have, and that will save an incredible amount of time. All right.